just when I thought I must have finished saying all I wanted to say today to you today, something comes up. Somebody wants me to do something about academic agent, about Ralph attacking academic agent. But I think he just wants to do it for shits and giggles. He's not a principled nationalist. Doesn't really care about ideology. It's all about, blood sports and stupidity and silliness amongst really rather silly people who are intellectually mediocre, who don't really have anything worth propagating other than their grievance, but no solution to them. I know academic agent does a whole bunch of things. He monetizes, whatever he can of whatever his content is. And apparently Ralph is threatening to sell his stuff or something. Unless what? I don't know what Ralph is annoyed with academic agent about. Maybe, he won't accept his invitation to come on his stream. Something like that, I suppose. And then I saw that he had gone live. I went to have a look. It was 3 women. I thought it was some kind of piss take, and the way Ralph does it when he clips somebody's stream and you think, oh, isn't it stupid? Isn't it crazy? Isn't it pointless? And then I realized it was a real thing. Those 3 women were indeed supposed to be presenting something, a woman's view of the news or something. And what was so comical was there's a really hot one on the right called Amy, and then there was one on the left, and I thought she was some callow youth, madly in love with Amy, who was sort of simpering at the camera and smiling mysteriously and seductively and never saying anything and occasionally deigning to giggle. That's her role, really. Some woman giggling, looking pretty. And I thought the one on the left was some callow young man already in love with her. And it turns out she's married, and at the moment talking about maternity leave as if the men looking at them would give a damn. And that was after they were laughing at Putin, wondering whether he shaved his chest or something. So this is the kind of crap middle class, educated women come up with when they are given the task of presenting a show. But quite healthy viewing figures, about 242 live viewers. I imagine most of them men, and possibly masturbating to the stream. I don't know. Possibly, perhaps I have a filthy mind. But the egregious mediocrity and pointlessness of it all is really rather comical, and I thought I'd just share that with you. Hello, Gary. No, I'm not jealous about these women. Oh, why should I? They're pretty. I can recognize that they're pretty. The other one on the left, well, I thought she was a man. A callow young man in love with a pretty one on the right. That's what I thought. No, I'm not taking Ralph seriously, but there are people who say, "Oh, how about this as an entertainment? Why don't you try and take down Ralph? And why don't you, comment on academic agent. And it's like, no, I'm not into talking about inconsequential people who have no ideas anyway. I am focused on propagating my ideas and getting them discussed by intellectuals, or people who want to be intellectuals, people who are able to discuss ideas, and it seems nobody can. It's a sign of degeneracy, really. I mean, I'll give credit to, people who, it's like, yes, I've tried to explain my ideas to you, but they've gone over your head, or you don't understand them, or you only think you understand them, and you don't care one way or another. I mean, I am only discussing morality, and who cares about morality is some, abstract noun that apparently has no bearing on you or your society. But I'm saying it's important. It would be, well, appropriate to discuss what I wish to discuss with people capable of understanding what I'm trying to say. You would have thought that, amongst the nationalist community, that there might be somebody capable of discussing ideas. You would have thought, but you would think wrong. They're not capable of discussing ideas. So the best. Okay, maybe there has been some form of increasing sophistication to the objections to secular Quranism, because the latest one is it's not British. Well, technically, it could be British if it starts here. Well, I live here. I'm known to the nationalist community for quite a while. I mean, they could sort of say, well, she's British, right? Couldn't they? They wanted to, but they choose not to, on grounds of skin colour. That means they're racist, right? Not British. Was Christianity British? All these stories of these Christian missionaries arriving on Holy Island and and even the white people here, they're mostly invaders, aren't they? The Vikings who settled, Anglo-Saxons who invaded and settled, the real British are in Cornwall or in North Wales. Isn't that the case? So why does it have to be British? Beggars can't be choosers, can they? You want. But let's say you're drowning. Your your cruise ship has hit an iceberg, and the hull is filling up with water and it's listing. And the ship's nearby and they might rescue you, but they're not British. What do you want? What do you want that's British? That could work. Can't even build your high-speed link from north to south. You got to ask China to do it, and then you decided not to do it. I don't know what's happening with the high-speed link. What about the railway from the north of England, sorry, the west of England to the east of England. That is actually more important than the north-south rail link, isn't it? Not that anybody cares. 5G, the British government were going to get Huawei to do it. Not British, not European, not American, not even Western, but Chinese. But at least it's getting a bit more sophisticated now. It's better than the usual, we don't like it, we don't want to, you can't make us. And I'm saying, to that, beggars can't be choosers. Have you got anything better? No? I don't know. I have been checking all these little ideas out. What have you got so far? You've got Richard Spencer and his ethno-state, and I'm telling you that even if the government of America said, all right, Richard, we'll give you your ethno-state, just choose any one of the 50 states of America, would he choose one? Of course he wouldn't. And if he did, nobody would follow him there. So scrap that idea of a white ethno-state. Anything else? Partition? Oh, no, you don't call it partition. The Indians call it partition. The Pakistanis call it partition. But Americans are going to call it, what? Peaceful separation. An amicable divorce. What world are they living in? Who's going to go and who's going to stay? And who is going to decide who stays and who goes? They haven't thought about it. I'm talking to brain-dead people, really, aren't I? Anything else? Apart from leaving the West and moving somewhere better run, like China, maybe. China's accepting lots of immigrants. They're loosening their rules of Chinese citizenship because of their demographic implosion. There was some program 2 weeks ago about, saying, even if China were minded to have all the Africans coming into China, there still wouldn't be enough of them. Something like that. I don't know how true it is. Anyway, I focused on who is key to the next step. They know who they are. They won't do it. Well, they haven't said they definitely won't do it. So we'll see. Maybe my prayers will help. Maybe a few nudges will help. The reasons given for not doing it is ridiculous, not British. Anything can become British. Christianity can become British. It's just a label. That could become a reality. Why not be the first to acknowledge the failure of Christianity? Why not be that? Why not have that honor? The first Western nation to correct itself, to realize its mistake, to repent of its idolatry and blasphemy and its narcissism and self-worship. Because that's a problem of idolatry, because idolatry eventually leads to self-worship, which means narcissism. What's wrong with narcissism? Well, we know what happened to Narcissus, don't we? Do we? Maybe you're not familiar with the story of Narcissus who fell in love with himself when looking into a pond. He either realized that no one else would be as beautiful as he, and so he decided to drown himself, or he thought the beautiful youth that he saw reflected back at him was somebody in the depths of that pond, and he dived in to find him and drowned that way. So the danger of idolatry is narcissism, which is always destructive. Of course, we all have narcissistic tendencies when we think we are right for no particular reason other than it is us. We respect our own opinions, we respect our own wishes and wish to advance. Our own objectives, whatever they are. Even if they are. Even if our position is logically incoherent, we just want to have our own way because we like to think we have autonomy, that we own ourselves, we have the discretion to choose the wrong way when we could choose the right way, just to show that we have free will. I don't think that's the best way of expressing it. If I'm wrong, I would accept that I am wrong and follow the correct way. Why would I want to hurt myself in the long term by stubbornly doing things the wrong way just because I'm indulging in the deadly sin of pride? So, narcissism is preferring to follow our own inclinations and beliefs and opinions, even though they are fundamentally wrong, and refusing to accept correction. So, all these people who laugh at Daniel for being so incoherent, they are like him, really. They are like him because they can't see that it is better to accept correction and admit that you're wrong so you don't continue on the road to perdition, to continue on the road to nowhere that leads to destruction. I'm not saying anything that can't be substantiated. I can back up all my claims. You just don't want to hear them. You and those with bigger YouTube channels who can't bear the thought that I might be right and they in error. When you have identified the thing that will make everything work, I was going to say the silver bullet, but that would make me guilty of magical thinking. I don't believe in silver bullets. I mean, I understand why people might want a silver bullet in their gun if they really do fear a werewolf. But I'm talking about something or someone who would be instrumental in advancing the cause. So close, yet so far. I know I'm working with people who are, well, suffering from character defects, learning disabilities, mental health issues, perhaps. People who have been traumatized by, well, 2,000 years of Christianity. I imagine I would be traumatized too. But this is an opportunity that to say something, to make a statement that is, well, undeniable. It's undeniable. It's undeniable that Christianity is idolatry and blasphemy. And if you believed in God, you should abandon your practice of idolatry and blasphemy. And if you don't believe in God, you would still see the opportunity cost of choosing the worst religion for Gentiles when you could choose the best religion for Gentiles. And if you are hoping to make a mark on politics, yes, of course, you will be expected to make a sacrifice or take a few risks. So, who are the people holding you back? The people who don't want you to do what I want you to do. Who are these people? What is their degree of competence, their conviction in their cause? I think I've won all the arguments. I know I'm better. I am more likely to succeed, but only with the help of this person who is withholding that assistance, that cooperation, for no good reason that I can discern other than it is within their power to withhold it. Of course, I accept the possibility, the probability of failure. It makes me think of the title of the Prophet Muhammad. He was called the messenger of God. But the point about being the messenger is that you don't have to do anything. You're not the agent of God. The agent of God has to do stuff because God sent him to do stuff. That would be the Holy Spirit, by the way. But the messenger just gives a message and then retreats, withdraws. Not all prophets are successful, I understand. I was looking at a list of Old Testament prophets, and there's quite a long list, and most of them I haven't really heard of. I meant to read about the difference between armed prophets and unarmed prophets. I'm the latter variety, of course. But that's actually an advantage. Because then you leave the responsibility of understanding the message to the other person. I mean, you can try and persuade them using arguments and facts, but if they're not going to be moved by facts and arguments and appeals to their better selves, then, well, it's just too bad for them. Then the other thing will happen. Well, not immediately. In a few years, in a few decades. Such a shame, eh? Gary, you're not a nationalist? What a surprise. Oh, Gary, you think I have contacts? Um, I don't have contacts amongst. Okay, I know. I know who these people are. I know, technically I have the contact details. I mean, I am appealing to a particular person. But I don't know what contacts you think I, would be able to help me, in this matter, because it has to spread organically, right? These ideas, it has to spread within a group of people who have a particular grievance. I mean, there's no point. I mean, who? Okay, Gary, tell me who. Okay, what kind of a person you would like me to contact? I mean, ideally, there's somebody in the media, a journalist, who will invite me into their studio and interview me about secular Quranism, right? That's not going to happen in the West, or not in mainstream media. Maybe RT, maybe CGTN, but then nobody will see it anyway, and then it'll be forgotten about. So what I hope for is that these ideas will be discussed amongst nationalists on YouTube and elsewhere. That's all I ask. I mean, so somebody with a job in media is, well, not going to help me. So Gary, you're saying you want to. Yeah, well, I mean, what's this? You care more for the people who share your race than your nation. I think you're making a category error there. These people of your race inhabit a defined piece of territory. So you need, I guess you would be thinking of people of your race living in a particular country, right? Or are you thinking of what English people all over the world? That's too wide, isn't it? All I'm saying is that, wherever you live, you should care about the people whose country you share. Because if you didn't, then things would go badly for everyone in the country. It would affect everyone, wouldn't it? If the laws are bad in your country, it would affect you eventually. I just don't even need to think in terms of race. But I suppose uneducated people just want to focus on the things that they can see rather than abstract ideas about, the principle of the thing. And I suppose mediocre minds would just focus on Well, somebody must be doing it to us. Therefore, it must be the Jews. They have more rights than us. Therefore, they are responsible for our predicament. And when I say no, 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 it's liberalism, it's feminism, and you say no, who cares about these ideas? It's the people who are doing it to us. But I'm saying liberalism is the problem. And before that, Christianity was the problem. I've explained to you how it is necessary for any society that wishes to remain in existence and apart from others of the necessity of the practice of marriage, which you haven't been doing for 50 years. And I'm saying that's a problem. If you don't have patriarchy, and patriarchy cannot exist without the practice of marriage, then you will get matriarchy. And matriarchy is a society that prioritizes the preferences of unmarried parents who casually conceived and parented their illegitimate offspring. So it means that most people in such a society, in such a matriarchy, will be badly parented. And they won't submit to truth, logic, and morality. You can't reason with them. That's why problems never get solved. Because nobody's going to fix a problem because they're so afraid of the others. So this person who won't do what I want is saying, the others won't like it. Don't get angry with her. It ain't British. I don't think it's a sufficient reason. Walker's wisdom is rolled up to say relationships between a man and a woman, and why are they virtually impossible? Gary asked, do you seriously think that SK could make waves throughout the UK anytime soon? Well, it depends. I mean, the quickest way I can envisage it making waves is if I get the publicity. And I know the Fourth Estate are not going to give me the publicity. The BBC, the mainstream media, they're not going to make it. But if they wanted to, it could happen, of course, because the media tells people what to think. So what you're really saying is, if you don't think it's going to work, you're just not going to try at all. But it's 50-50. I mean, obviously, it would be incorrect to say it has no chance of succeeding. It has a theoretical possibility of succeeding, not a high one, but a theoretical one. So that doesn't mean that just because you don't think it might happen, you don't even do it at all. I'm saying, well, you should try. And the only way I can try is to explain what I think the problem is and argue that my solution is the best solution. That's all I can do. But if arguments are not ever accepted because the people you are addressing are beyond reason, then that is also a problem, isn't it? It is a symptom of a deeper malaise, isn't it? That if you can't think straight, if you have a problem and you don't know how to solve it, or you're neurotic, you can't make decisions, you've lost your mind, nothing makes sense, you are going through a process of a psychogenic death. You've lost the will to live. You don't want to be corrected because, well, you'd rather die. Not before I go, I'll try and answer the question about why a long-term relationship between a man and a woman is virtually impossible because of no fault divorce. So if it's impossible, then most children will grow up bastards. Yes, not going to marry before you have children. They're going to be bastards. You know why bastards are called bastards, right? And this means that bastards will have worse bastards, and those worse bastards will have even worse. And until Jamaica has an illegitimacy rate of 86%. So you have a good idea where you're heading now, which you refuse to correct because, it's beyond your pay grade. It's not worth a candle. It's not, the change is not going to be guaranteed. You're not going to take the risk. So you'll just shut up and laugh at people who try because you're the majority. You're new here, Gareth Stopman? No, don't. Psychocoronism was always plan A. The Noahide laws are supposed to be the mechanism through which I get rabbis to rank secular Quranism at the same rank as Islam, and therefore more Noahide than Christianity. That was my plan. That is still my plan. I'll leave you to deal with Plan C, but secular Quranism has always been Plan A. Well, Gary, if you want us to talk about something, then tell us what you want us to talk about. I thought it was quite useful what we spoke about last night, and we did discuss masculinity and the difficulty that men have discussing masculinity, and that she's concerned about immigration, but she can't quite accept that it will not be corrected. The immigration will not be corrected under the current system, and she believes that the current system is viable, and that's why she's not going to denounce it. And of course, Diana is in a way morally compromised because she's not married and she doesn't want to get married, and she thinks she doesn't need a piece of paper. And I'm saying it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about the principle of the thing, that everyone who wants to have children should have legitimate children. You have to set this minimum standard so people know what they have to do to have children. They need to apply for a license. That's what the marriage license is all about. It's a license to have sex and children. And this point needs to be reinforced. But I know it's almost beyond the comprehension of most people living now about the eugenic practice of marriage. And how to crash and burn before it can rise again. Well, I think we're crashing and burning now. It is possible to reduce the inconvenience of the transition from matriarchy to theocracy, and so we have a duty to do it. You minimize the pain and inconvenience suffered by making it happen as soon as possible rather than waiting for things to crash and burn. And so you have to tell someone, right? You have to say something and tell someone in the clearest possible terms. Yeah, living in the West is expensive and it's going to get more expensive. So you're waiting for things to get more expensive before you will be thinking my way. Yes, Gareth Stockman, we try to minimize inconvenience and suffering, don't we? I do talk about Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, if you've ever read it or heard about it. Have you? Self-hating Jew keeps reminding us that he'll be dead soon because of his, well, lung condition or something. And his posts reveal this fatalism, the fatalism of an atheist. He has no children, he doesn't care, he just wants to whinge about the Jews. So why would anyone value his opinion? Because he's an atheist, he's a nihilist. He has an interest in not acknowledging that he's wrong. Yeah, so we'll all be poor. Western women will be reduced to prostitution, and then men reduced to pimping out their women. Is that where you want to go? You want to have some fun doing that? Matriarchies are, well, unofficial ones. I mean, like Thailand. Thailand's a matriarchy, really. They're not Muslim. They're quite free and easy with sex. So you have that to look forward to, when men from other races and nations, they come here for their sex tourism. And you have to pimp your women out. Those of you who aren't already dead, like self-hating Jew. You won't have any women to pimp out anyway, huh? All right, I think I've said enough. Thanks for listening.